Today we're talking about shingle upgrades. 5 reasons why you should, 5 reasons why you should not, as well as we're going to talk about the order in which shingle upgrades go, from your basic shingle to the best of the best. We're also going to talk about the breakdown of the factors where price is involved and actually the range of price for each upgrade. But when we talk about shingle upgrades in this video, what we're not talking about is here we have a 3-tab shingle. This is really flimsy, it's really thin, it's really light. So what we're not talking about is upgrading this shingle, which only has a wind rating of 60, 70 miles an hour, to upgrading to a nice dimensional shingle. So this is what we're talking about. We're going to start with this dimensional shingle, and we're going to upgrade from there. So we have two types of upgrades. Here is the Certainty Northgate shingle. Still architectural, dimensional style, but this one is much heavier, about extra 30, 40 pounds per square. Plus, it's a class 4 shingle, which is good against hail. And what we're also going to talk about is from the upgrading to designer style shingle. So this is Certainty Belmont. You can tell it's a much larger shingle. The whole look of it is different. The style is different. So these are the 2 upgrades that we're going to talk about. The 3-tab shingle is just not a very good shingle. But let's get into this. Let's talk about 5 reasons why we should upgrade our shingle. The first one is peace of mind. I think we all been in the position where we're looking out the window during the storms, high winds, it's pouring down rain, and you start thinking about your roof. Is my roof going to hold up in the storm? Hey, you might even see your neighbor's roof, a couple shingles flying off of it, and you're just a little concerned. So upgrading your shingle could give you a lot of peace of mind, knowing that your roof is going to hold up. Second one is in a storm zone. If you're in an area that always has high wind events, or you're in a hail impact zone or a hail storm zone like us, we're in the Tulsa, Oklahoma area. Upgrading your shingles can really help you withstand the storms and the wind to where you're not having to replace your roof as much. Number 3 is save money. If there's just going to be an upfront cost with upgrading your shingles, but if you don't have to replace your roof as often, maybe you get an extra 5, 10, 15 years out of it. In the long run, you're going to save money upgrading your shingles. As well as, like we talked about, we're in a storm zone. So upgrading to a class 4 impact resistant shingles, you can also possibly get a discount on your homeowner's insurance. So during the long run, things might even out. If you're going to be staying in your home a long time, it's going to be beneficial to upgrade your shingles. You really see the financial benefit if you're going to stay in your home, say 10, 20 years down the road. So the last one would be style. So if you wanted a little different curb appeal, you didn't want something like every other house has, or you live in a historic area, or maybe a high-end subdivision where you just don't want the basic shingle, upgrading your shingle will definitely give you some added curb appeal. Now, 5 reasons why you should not upgrade your shingles. Well, if you're just installing a low-budget roof, maybe generic materials, you're not really paying attention to building codes, that sort of thing. I don't think upgrading the shingles, putting that additional money into the roof would be very beneficial. It's kind of like what they say is putting lipstick on a pig. The second one is if you're not addressing ventilation, if you're not making sure that hot air is escaping the attic, what happens is the shingles are just going to degrade at a much faster rate. So spending money upgrading your shingles, I don't think they're going to last as long or look as good for very long without addressing the ventilation. Number 3 would be if you're moving soon, say in the next 5 years you plan to move, spending a couple grand on upgrading the shingles, I don't know if you're going to see that money. I don't know if you're going to get that money back just selling your home. Number 4 is don't extend past your budget. If you have a certain amount and that's all you plan to spend, and you can get a nice architectural dimensional shingle on there, I think you're going to be in good shape. Extending past your budget, putting yourself maybe in a risky situation where maybe a month or two you wish you had that money, I don't think it would be a good idea to extend past your budget. And the last one is if you have home maintenance issues, let's say if your home is surrounded by a bunch of trees and you're always battling leaves building up in the valleys or the gutters clogging, when that happens, those leaves just hold water, and boy, they will really literally like rotten the shingles out. So I want to upgrade the shingle if those type of issues are hard for you to maintain. Okay, so now let's talk about the styles. The styles and the order in which your shingle upgrades will be. Number one is the starting point is your designer architectural shingles. Don't really recommend getting into the 3-tab shingles. But the second one is going to be your heavier version of your architectural shingle. Now this is going to depend upon your location. Here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, we're not going to, the heavier version architectural shingle is not going to be available. But let's say you live in Michigan. The heavier version architectural shingle, for example, is going to be the Landmark Pro. Now, each manufacturer might have their own style, their own name, their own style, their own design. But look for the heavier version. See what options might be available. And if you need an example, look for the Landmark Pro shingle. Now, like we said, we're in Tulsa, Oklahoma, so the heavier version is not going to be available. What is going to be available is the Class 4 impact resistant shingle. Now, what a Class 4 impact resistant shingle means is how it's more of a rating. And how they get that rating is you have a 2-inch solid ball, and they'll drop it. They'll drop that ball from 20 feet, and they'll land on the shingle in the same spot. And they'll do that, I believe, 2 times. And how that shingle reacts to that impact will be determined if you get the Class 4 rating. Now, there are Class 2 and Class 3 type ratings, but Class 4 is going to give you your best rating. And the number 4 is we're going to get into your designer shingles. Designer shingles are going to be much larger, much heavier. The looks are going to be very different. You might have something that looks like cedar-shaped shingles, the wood shingles, or you might have something that looks like slate or that replicates those types of looks. But that is going to be the designer shingles. And the last one, number 5, is, again, we're in Tulsa, we're in Oklahoma, a lot of hail. So we might not be able to get the standard designer shingles. The only option that might be available is the impact-resistant designer shingles. Now, if you're not in an impact-resistant zone, the standard designer will work, but here, only the impact-resistant designer shingles are going to be available. So depending on your area, but these are going to be your options in which the order of good to the best of the best. Now let's talk about the cost breakdown. Now, what is going to be the cost, or what are the factors going to be of the cost of these shingles? The first factor we have to consider is how much more are these shingles. The base price, the base factor is going to be your dimensional, your architectural shingle, maybe 120, 130 a square, depending on where you're at. And each upgrade, hey, it might range from $5 to $10 of shingles, or it could be hundreds of dollars. So the first factor is how much more are the shingles going to be when you upgrade them. The second factor is going to be the labor costs. Some upgrades, like the Certainty Northgate shingle, they have to be installed a certain way. The seams have to be staggered. So that increases the labor costs. It takes twice as long to install the shingles. And the second factor is going to be when you get into these upgrades, the standard shingles are going to be 3 bundles per square, but some upgrades might be 4 bundles, 5 bundles. So you might have to move more shingles, more bundles, and that's going to increase the labor cost as well. Now, the cost of having to warranty the roof would be number 3. Okay, if we're putting on a shingle that costs $100 a square, well, just say a leak comes up, let's say an issue comes up, and the contractor has to come out and they have to fix this issue. Well, now their cost, they have to spend more for shingles. They might have to spend more to remove the shingles as well. So the cost of warranty of the roof is going to be increased, and that's going to be an added factor based upon how much a contractor is going to charge based upon the upgrade. So number 4 is going to be cost to install per manufacturer specifications. If you upgrade that shingle, manufacturer specifications might say you have to use a certain ridge cap, a certain starter shingle, as well as other components might be required to install that shingle. So if those are the requirements, a contractor is going to have to charge more per square, more per roof to compensate for those additional factors. The 5th one is going to be the company costs, overhead, and profit. Depending on the size and the style of the roof, the added upgrade might be it just might be tens of thousands of dollars, or it might be a couple grand. Well, a company's overhead and profit might have to account for those additional costs. So they might charge 10%, 20% on top of those additional costs, just make up for those additional materials. Now let's talk about what is the actual price, what are the actual costs involved with each upgrade, each category. Now the cheapest upgrade is going to be the architectural style, the heavier version. Now I have a price range of $0 to $50. And you're probably like, well, why would this cost $0? Like, this would be like a no-brainer. But this price range is going to be based upon how a construction company, a roofing company views these upgrades. Now, the cost of upgrading to a heavier shingle might only be $5 a square. So a construction company might view this as a no-brainer. Like, hey, let me put on something that looks better, that is going to hold up more to the storms. I know several companies throughout the country that just automatically will upgrade to a heavier shingle. Now, another company might view this upgrade as, hey, this is going to cost more, this is an added benefit. Well, there's going to be value with this added benefit. So if you want to upgrade the shingle, hey, we got to charge maybe $20, maybe even up to $50 per square. $50 a square might be a little bit on the high end, but just trying to help you prepare to get an idea of these upgrades. Now the second one is going to be upgrade to an impact-resistant shingle. Several different manufacturers out there that have several different styles. So the price range per shingle is going to be different, as well as the added factors, additional materials that need to be installed. So I have about $20 to $100 per square. Again, it's just going to depend on the manufacturer and the construction company and how they view these upgrades. For example, the impact-resistant shingle, the Northgate shingle like we showed you, is very expensive, much more expensive than your standard dimensional shingle, but it has to be installed a certain way. So that the added cost of that labor cost, might put us around, it's going to put us a little bit on the higher end of that range, but there's other versions that aren't as stringent as the Northgate shingle. Now, when we upgrade to a designer shingle, this is where you're going to get a lot of variance. You're going to get a lot of different styles. The price is going to be very, very large. You can range from the cost of shingles from being an extra $100 to several $100 more per square. So we have a range of $100 to $400. Every manufacturer is different. Every shingle is going to be different, and the main part, some of this is going to be warranty. Warranting these shingles that might be $300 a square. Contractors are going to have to charge a premium price to install these types of shingles. And the last one is going to be upgrade to designer impact-resistant shingles. Again, it's just going to depend upon your area. I have about $5 to $100 per square. Going to depend upon your area. Like here in Tulsa, we can only get the impact-resistant shingle. So the cost to get the impact resistant shingle might not be very much. But again, it just could depend on the contractor, your area, and how much they charge. There just might be a pretty good range. So today we talked about, hey, why we should not. We talked about different styles. If you have any questions, if we left out anything, if you want some more clarification, feel free to reach out to us. Leave a comment, shoot us a call. Thank you for watching this video, and like and subscribe. All right, thank you. Bye-bye.